I'm calling to order the regular board meeting of the CUSD Board of Education for May 8th, 2025. Welcome, everyone. Great to see a huge turnout here. First item on the agenda is roll call, please.
Trustee Zhao,
Here.
trustee Chow,
Present.
trustee Manhato,
Here.
trustee Leon,
Here.
trustee Lu.
Here. All right, great. Item 1.2, board agenda approval. Could I get a motion, please?
I move.
Thanks. And a second?
I'll second.
All right, thanks, Seva. Roll call.
Trustee Zhao,
Aye.
trustee Chow,
Aye.
trustee Manhato,
Aye.
trustee Leon.
Aye.
Trustee Lu.
Aye. All right, we're moving on then to item 2.1. This is, I think, what most of us are here for. Recognition of the California Day of the Teacher and a presentation of the 2025 Teachers of the Year Awards. So, all right. I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Yao to kick us off.
Thank you. And it is so exciting to see everyone here tonight. This is our one time a year that we get to celebrate and recognize. Our Teacher of the Year from each site are selected by their colleagues for their dedication, their ability to impact students throughout the year and into their future. So this is always a special night for us. We have put together a video that we'd like to show first before we begin recognizing each individual. And so if we can have everybody direct to the screen, but again, on behalf of all of us in CUSD, just a big thank you. And thank you for coming out and supporting your colleagues. I think that means a lot for them, as I've seen lots of family members and students, which again, I think that's what we're all about. And I know it means a special moment for all of you as teachers being selected. So without further ado, I'll turn it over and we'll start the video.
Love to see the smiles on their faces and the aha moments. I know it sounds cliche, but I love seeing like the learning and the excitement of learning each day. I feel that getting them engaged and hands-on and really taking ownership for their learning and experimenting. And I want to provide those opportunities and for them so that they can be successful in the rest of their educational career.
Well, I think that it's unfair teachers to expect more from their students than from themselves. So if you expect your kids to be lifelong learners, you've got to be willing to be a lifelong learner. If you expect your kids to own up to their mistakes, to reflect and make changes, then you need to do that yourself. So I think it really pushes you to be your better self because you're expecting that of very young little kids, so you should expect it of yourself.
You know, it's fun working with the kids. They make things interesting. It's never the same thing. For some kids that are struggling to pass anything, they get an A in here and they just really light up. It's great for their self-esteem. Well, that's where you learn. You learn as a student and then you can apply it as an adult. And some of them are learning a hobby that they'll use later on. Some of them will take it into a career or just help in a career because they understand how things are made more. And that's very beneficial.
An effective communicator doesn't mean that you have to express yourself verbally in complete sentences in English. It's really of using those communication skills themselves to self-advocate their needs and express their thoughts, whether it's through their AAC device, through their speech, through gestures, and just to be able to communicate successfully and get their needs across and show how amazing and how smart each of them uniquely are.
I mean, the learning doesn't happen if the children don't feel safe and they don't feel included and accepted. And learning is a life's journey. So everything doesn't fall in place in that 1 year that we see the student in. So to have a variety of options, that choices available to the students, it makes them feel like, oh, I have a place in here. And when they know that they have a place, then they start opening up and are ready to learn.
When I practice mindfulness with my students, I benefit as well. We all benefit together. Kind of take a moment to settle ourselves down, be grounded, set an intention for the day. And if you do that every single day, your student and you together can go through the journey. And it can be daunting, right? So if we take a moment every now and then to breathe, inhale and exhale, and it will take you through day by day, eventually year after year.
It's really fulfilling to stay in touch with students who have been to college and beyond, and hear where their lives have taken them. And so often students who were maybe struggling when they were younger have grown and blossomed in ways that you couldn't have even imagined. It's through the habits and life lessons, along with the academic lessons, that really bring me back to help try to make a difference in the lives of each student.
I want them to enjoy school, and I want them to know that I believe in them and that school's fun. We're all learning, and so I realize people are going to make mistakes, grown-ups and kids, and I try to keep that in my mind, because mistakes do happen and we have hard times. It's not always easy, but they know I love them, and I think that helps. Got so much love from these little guys. I'm hoping I made a difference. I know they made a difference in my life.
We have some students who have experienced really adverse life circumstances, and also some students who are very high achieving and have a hard time finding the balance to take care of themselves. Sometimes we kind of take wellness for granted. Like, we think that people just innately have the skills needed to keep themselves mentally and physically well, or the knowledge needed. And sometimes that has to be more explicitly taught, helping the students find their own way of staying and keeping themselves well.
I think them taking risks really allows them to realize that those risks are the things that you learn from the most, and that they need to be okay with those failures and how to pick themselves up again, because so much of what we do is improving things. These kids are going to solve problems that have never been presented to them before, and they need to learn how to become creative thinkers. And they also need to have the opportunity to just express themselves.
No matter how much you know knowledge-wise and academically, if you're not able to get along with others in this world, it doesn't live up to its potential. Focusing on the whole child and the social-emotional health is really critical to produce just active citizens, folks that can keep in mind the whole community in all their actions. And just ultimately make this a better place.
Empowering them is probably my number one goal. I think because it encompasses everything. In a world where there's so much information and so many things happening, they're going to need those critical thinking skills. And so I believe that the more confidence they have and the more positivity that they have, the better their mental health, the more they're going to achieve. They're going to be thinking about the ripple effect that they have through the world.
They're so full of curiosity and excitement. I mean, they just love learning, and it's so fun to see them feel so empowered. When I give them choices, I give them opportunity to think about their learning. They're just so motivated to do more and challenge themselves. I really love the idea of global citizenship and collaboration. Just thinking about how they shape the world with their ideas is excites me the most.
One might say that I'm still a middle schooler at heart, which is why I love them so much. Like, I have such vivid memories of my time here, and like how I felt and how my teachers made me feel at this age, and just how you're just like this roller coaster of emotions. And I just remember it so vividly that I think I just really identify with it. Even though I'm no longer that person I was in middle school, I think the vivid memories just help me connect with the kids more.
I love to teach because my day is filled with Just laughter. This is where I don't have a hard day. The classroom is my happy place. The kids are what bring me back, their faces and the relationships I've formed with them. When a kid leaves your classroom, it's not the end of your relationship. It's just a change in relationship and seeing the different relationships over the years from a student in my classroom to coming into the career that I loved. That's something I'm proud of.
授之以鱼不如授之以渔. When you give a person fish, you rather teach them how to fish. So that's what I believe the critical thinking is. I really feel that we're not just teaching them curriculum or just the academic skills. More than that, they need to start thinking, oh, what else can I do? How can I be more independent and be a better person? And I can think of other ways of using the tools that I have, and then I can be a better person to the world.
It was my dream since I was a little kid to be a teacher, and when I was younger I would play school with all my siblings, my brothers and sisters, and I would make them be my students, and I would like try to make an overhead with like a glass 3x9 pan and like a lamp, and I'd ask my teacher for her lamination pens. So yeah, I was obsessed with teaching since I was little, and I knew that's what I wanted to do when I grew up. It's a dream come true to be doing what I love. Like, I still love teaching. Some days are hard, but it really was my dream job. So I'm blessed to like do something that I love.
They are just so innocent and pure and non-judgmental in this world that we live in. It is so meaningful to bring it back to like the real world, to make the connection about what we're teaching in the classroom to what they're going to be experiencing in the real world. So I feel that when school is rooted in things like that are relatable to real life, learning becomes meaningful, it becomes essential for them.
Being a special education teacher has been my dream job since middle school, and so I feel very blessed and fortunate to be able to do something like this every day. My back to school night, I always tell my parents that whenever a child comes into my class, I feel like they're my child as well. Exciting just to see how much they grow, not just academically, but socially and emotionally. I think there's so much I learn from my students, and they bring me so much joy. So I think that's why it's important, not to place any limitations on our kids, but really see how much they can actually do.
Think about the kid in terms of their like whole child. I really think about like every single thing that happens to them, whether it's at home or it's like here at school or after school or with their friends. It's fun to give them like a support so I can see what they want to create and what they want to do, and because it intrigues them. It's like that what they are interested in helps them, motivate them to like do the project or do the assignment. It never is the same. It's always different. Helping them and seeing the little light bulb that just like pops up in their head. That's what I really enjoy, just seeing like the progress they made from the beginning of the year to the end of the year.
They're starting to see their role in the world at large, and they want to make a change and fix problems that they see in the world. So I try to create projects that will have real life implications. If we want our students to grow up to be change makers, why not start now? Have them make a difference, have them learn to feel confident in themselves that they can make a difference.
What an amazing group of teachers. I do want to acknowledge and thank Erin Lindsay, our Senior Communication Director, who put together the video. And now we'd like to have an opportunity to introduce each of our amazing teachers in person. So I'm going to invite and turn over to Mike Gelber, our Associate Sup of HR. What we'll do is we'll introduce each teacher. We'll ask them to come up. Our board members have a certificate, and then ask them to remain up on the stage, and we'll take a group picture at the end. After all of our Teacher of the Year are identified and recognized, we will announce our CUSD District Teacher of the Year. So without further ado, I'm turning it over to Mr. Gelber.
What a great crowd. Really good crowd.
Long list.
All right.
So can you?
A couple things before I get going here. One, I've practiced as hard as I possibly can not to mess up any names. If I do, I'm old. And second, if there are any bouquets of flowers left over, please let me know. Because my wife's birthday is coming up. And Mother's Day. That's right. Thank you for the reminder. Okay, with that being said, the CUSD Teacher of the Year program provides the board and the district an opportunity to recognize individuals who demonstrated exemplary teaching skills, talents, and accomplishments. A district committee made up of representatives from the board, district administrators, CEA, and the parent community select the district teacher of the year based on site level recommendation and district-wide criteria. One teacher from the list will represent the district teaching staff for the 24-25 academic year at the county level. In addition, the district teacher of the year will become a nominee for the county teacher of the year program. So what I'll do is I will read the names. They'll come up one by one. My lovely assistants will give flowers, and then they'll go and get a certificate from the board members. You're going to go up there and stay. We're going to take a bunch of pictures, and then at the end, we're going to do a drum roll and announce the district teacher of the year. All right. Without further ado, from Blue Hills, please welcome Stacy Stearns. Thank you. See how nice she was? She was going to give me the flowers. That's amazing. All right. Second from Collins, please welcome Melinda Larson. She's lesson planning right now. From DeVargas, please welcome Zoe Jadis. Congratulations. All right. From Dilworth, welcome Archana Kanan. Congratulations. I got scared for a minute, but I scared you away. Sorry. Next, from Eisenhower, welcome Miley Duong. From Faria, welcome Denise Menon. From Garden Gate, welcome Erica Ornalis. From Hyde, welcome Christina Blackwell. Congratulations. All right, from Kennedy, Sharon Larson. Congratulations. From Lawson, come Denise Hall. All right, from Lincoln, Amy Teamster. Okay, how about from McAuliffe? Welcome Vaughn Nguyen. And from Miller, April Goodman Orcutt. Congratulations. All right, from Montclair, welcome Shelley Tui. I think I forgot from Cupertino Middle School. Lou Green. Good thing I caught that one. From your, let's have Catherine Huang. Congratulations. From Nimitz, welcome JL Testa. Okay, from Sedgwick, welcome Maha Abu Manda. Thank you. And from Stevens Creek, Tiffany Wong. From Stockholmeyer, Emily Nguyen. From West Valley, Melanie Hahn. All right, this is the part of the program we have participation from our audience. Drum roll, please. District Teacher of the Year 2025, Shelley Tui. Shelley, would you like to come up and say a few words to your adoring audience, huh?
podium lifts up. Good, good. So for those of you who know me, I usually love talking in front of parents, staffs and everything. I've been scared to death all day. So I'll try not to read, and I'm not so scared that I can't do it, first graders from room 7. Good evening. First, let me say thank you. I am honored to be standing here tonight as this year's District Teacher of the Year. Honestly, I'm still a little stunned. When I look around at the incredibly talented, passionate, and inspiring educators here tonight, many of whom I've worked beside and learned from, I am reminded just how lucky I am to be part of this profession. I have been part of Cupertino for 38 years. I believe I am a legend. And everybody should know me. But I realize I may be only a legend in my own mind. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I have worked in 3 different CUSD schools. I started at Nimitz back in 1987. I spent 25 years at Regnart in kindergarten. I now live at Montclair, where I fell in love with teaching all over again in first grade. During my tenure at CUSD, I have worked for 7 superintendents. The 2 I admire most are here tonight. Pat Lampson, who was part of the team that hired me, has now become my friend, and she is here tonight. If you have worked under Pat Lampson, please stand up. There's still a couple of us. And Stacy Yao, who sat with me. Who sat with me a few weeks ago and listened and heard a teacher struggling with a huge decision. Thank you both for being part of my journey. To all the principals, 14 in all, that I have worked alongside, there are 2 or 3 here tonight. Thank you for your leadership and your bravery to do a job I was qualified to do, but I never had the guts to throw my hat in the ring. Thank you to Allison Lavaro and Mike Cellini and Amy Maiden and all the others who have mentored me. Now, when it comes to teaching partnerships, I had a ton, and they were all fabulous. My 2 current teaching partners, Liz and Danica, and the former Shelley Walker, thank you for making coming to school so enjoyable, and I'll miss you terribly. To all the amazing teachers who were nominated tonight, thank you. You are the heart of what we do. This recognition is just not mine. I share it with each of you and with every teacher I've had the privilege of working with over the years. You inspired me, you challenged me, and you helped me grow into the teacher I am today. I hope I done the same in return. Now, I've spent most of my career teaching kindergarten and first grade. I've had the unique experience of working with children at the very beginning of their educational journey. And let me tell you, nothing keeps you more humble than trying to convince a 5-year-old that pants are in fact required attire for school. Joy Weiss said that teaching kindergarten is the closest you'll ever get to being God. And she was right. I can't imagine how many children have said, that's not the way Miss Tui does it. But in all seriousness, those years are where it all begins. The sounds of letters, the rhythm of numbers, and the wonder of stories. I've always believed that teaching was more than just the ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s. I was helping children build the foundation for lifelong learning, just as importantly, a life of kindness, fairness, and empathy.
I've tried to show them that integrity matters. Even if it's just owning up to who really spilled the glitter. A spoiler alert, it was me, especially on St. Patrick's Day, when I tried to convince those 5-year-olds that leprechauns had been there. Over the years, I've had the joy of teaching over 30 children of district employees. That kind of trust is not something I ever took lightly. I've even had the incredible full circle experience of teaching alongside one of my former students and then teaching both of her children. Thank you, Danielle Tucker. That's when you know you've been teaching a while. One of the greatest blessings of this job has been the enduring relationships I've formed. I still keep in touch with so many of my former students, and yes, their parents too, who once entrusted me with the most precious thing in the world. That trust, that partnership has meant everything to me. Teaching isn't easy. It's messy, it's loud, and it's occasionally sticky. But it's full of laughter, growth, and those magical moments when you know you've made a difference. To my fellow teachers, thank you for being in the trenches with me, for your wisdom, your humor, and your heart. As the next school year starts, give me a second. Know there'll be one teacher who will be crossing her fingers that you have the greatest year ever and wishing she still had 1 or 2 more years left. Every moment, enjoy every moment. It goes super fast. Okay. And finally, to my students, where are you? And even that big dude in the back, raise your hand, Wyatt Huck. You've taught me just as much as I've taught you. You are the reason I get up every morning with a heart full of purpose. Remember to live with integrity each and every day. Thank you for this honor. It has been a privilege of a lifetime to teach and learn right here with all of you. Thank you. Oh, guess what? I'm retiring.
I could always come back in summer. Got pigs.
Okay, we're gonna continue with the rest of the meeting here. The next item on the agenda is flag salute. Could I have Lucy and Julianne from De Vargas, please come up to the podium to lead us in the flag salute, please.
Everybody, please rise. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Next, we have a school presentation from DeVargas. So, Principal Johnson, welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here tonight, Board President Lou, Superintendent Yao, honored board members, executive cabinet, and the greater CUSD community. It's really a pleasure to be here tonight with our Roar Club. You can see they're here in spirit and excited to share how we really have our PBIS motto, respect others and act responsibly, come to life at school. And with these student leaders, really make sure that all students feel connected and a sense of belonging on campus. So I'm going to invite one of our teacher leaders, Ms. Christine Kawano, up to share a little of the history of the Roar Club, and then our students will be sharing with you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Johnson. We're really excited to be here. Our Roar Club is in its third year, and we've started out really small, just planning Roar Days, and now it's just become a big event full week that they plan. It's student run. They do activities, and they're going to tell you all about the things from their perspective. They wrote their own speeches tonight, and they're excited to share with you what we do. And it's exciting for me because we started out so small, and now we've grown into a group of over 20 students, all fourth and fifth graders. They stay after school. They're dedicated to use their lunch times to run activities. They plan, and Miss Hoya is unfortunately not able to be here, but she runs the club with me. And we always joke, like we try to make their dreams come true. So when when they have ideas, we try to do what we can to help them do them. And what I think I love the most is them coming with their perspectives and how things are running. And we try to make changes in the moment to be able to accommodate students and accommodate like different needs that they have. So they've been really flexible and pivoting, and they've learned a lot on how to be really active leaders in our school community. And we're really proud of them. So I'd like to introduce Pranav.
Hi everyone. We are students from the Vargas Elementary School, and we will be highlighting Roar Club and the sense of belonging. But first, I would like to introduce you to our school mascot, Louie. In the Vargas, all students follow an acronym called ROAR, which stands for Respect Others and Act Responsibly. Us Roar Club members will be explaining what we do and why we are needed for school success. During During the Roar Week, each day is a spirit day with a different theme. During Roar Weeks at lunchtime, Roar Club members that are willing to help kids enjoy fun activities that some of the Roar Club members picked. The advertising group reminds the students every Roar Week. Advertising is a reminder for students to participate in Roar Week, including activities that happen during lunchtime. This is important because some students often forget what to wear on specific days during Roar Weeks. This was our most recent Roar Week where we had fun lunchtime activities. In this slide, we would like to talk about roar assemblies, which we do every roar week. In this slide, we will focus on the traits of each month, awards, and the importance of an assembly. We recognize students for their attribute for roaring. These are different traits for different months. Each month we make slides that we announce with Miss Johnson. We tell the whole school what good trait we will be focusing on that month. We also show a slide in the slide before, like that, and then so which shows how they can get the recognition awards. We ask winners to stand on the risers, and then we take a picture. First, assemblies are very important because they encourage students to act more kind and generous. After we announce each person who will get a certificate, we also give them an award. Last year we gave roar medals. This year we're giving roar keychains. In each slideshow that we make for that month, it has examples about how to get that certain certificate. Cupcash is a currency and an acknowledgement. Our school uses Cupcash to buy things from the Cupcash store that you will later learn about. However, if somebody's following the rules when they know a teacher is watching, they will not receive a Cupcash, but they will be recognized. The reason we don't give Cupcash to a student when they're only following the rules to get Cupcash is because then people will think that they should get a reward every time they do something good. This also makes them think that they don't have to do something right if nobody's watching. In conclusion, this will give them a bad habit or bad manners. Cupcash is a type of currency that you can use to buy items from the Cupcash store. During Roar Week, students in specific grades get to spend their Cupcash. For the TKMK, one of the yard duties comes around their classroom and they get to shop there. You can earn Cupcash from your teachers, or any other staff member can give you Cupcash for being responsible, kind, respectful, safe, helpful, being an upstander, and being honest. Cupcash store is a place where students spend their Cupcash. There are different prizes for different amounts of Cupcash. The prizes depend on the amount of Cupcash the students have. The people that work in War Club get a 50% discount for all the Cupcash prizes. Some of the Cupcash prizes include pencils, erasers, bookmarks, and many more. Everyone in the War Club takes turns working in the Cupcash store every War Week. Friday's First Counts and Awards. We make DV Spirit Day every Friday more interactive to encourage everyone to wear their spirit colors, blue and yellow. Every Friday by keeping track of what percentage of students in each class wear school colors. Roll Club then gives trophies and line stuffies to classes who have the highest percentages for the week. Just to keep word of the week, we divide the school in sections like first and second and fourth and fifth. The one class who gets the highest score out of the whole school will get a golden Latin trophy for the week. Other winning classes will get lion stuffies. How our Road Club makes people feel like they belong is we make people feel at home, treat people with the same respect they treat us with. We don't leave people out. We work as a team. We're upstander to others, and most importantly, to have fun with others. We help others and ourselves. Belonging is when everybody feels involved in what we do. Example, when we work as a team to make people feel included, and then we take others who are left out to join the fun. Everyone has to feel like they belong. They have to belong. We're the team who help people feel like they belonged. In this presentation, we talked about our Cupcake store, Friday Spirit Count, Royal Assemblies, and many more. We hope you enjoyed our presentation and that you enjoyed learning about DeMarcus from the students' point of view. Thank you.
And they gave each of you some Cub Cash.
Well, thank you so very much for a wonderful presentation. You guys did a great job. Thank you for bringing the statue and the stuffy and the cup cash.
We all got little prizes too.
Oh, yes, we did. Thank you so much. You all did a great job. Hoping we could get a picture together, if that's okay? So if we could line up, Aaron, if you could help us get lined up.
This way.
Okay, all right, that was great. Thank you again to the Roar Club members for the presentation and for the little mementos. All right, moving on to item 3.4. This is the recognition of the California Classified School Employee Week, May 18th to 24th, 2025. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped 3.3. Yes, thank you. So May 2025 Classified Employee of the Month. So Mike, to lead us off, please.
Okay, thank you. Just a little more background on this. For a long time, CUSD has celebrated our dedicated staff via the Classified Employee of the Month program. The district recognizes our outstanding classified employees who work diligently and often behind the scenes to build the essential infrastructure so that we can provide the best to our students, staff, and community. Each month, the Employee of the Month is honored and recognized by the board at the first board meeting of the month. So this month, I would like to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce this fella. Then he's going to come up here, and then Principal Iyer is going to come up and say some nice things. So everybody put your hands together for the night custodian at Miller. This is Carlos Goncalves.
Colleagues, esteemed members of the board and executive cabinet, I know that I am up here today speaking on behalf of our entire Miller community in congratulating and honoring Carlos Gonzalez for the Classified Employee of the Month award. Carlos is, in the words of his colleagues, a truly exceptional custodian. He doesn't just clean, he cares. He works tirelessly to ensure our classrooms are not only clean, but also welcoming and conducive to learning. His colleagues highlight Carlos's great attitude and his willingness to work around after-school schedules. He understands the importance of our clubs, parent conferences, dances, other activities, and he ensures that our rooms are cleaned without disrupting them. Carlos goes above and beyond in his duties. He's thoughtful, methodical, and incredibly reliable. From maintaining the floors to ensuring the garbage is taken out and supplies are restocked, his attention to detail is remarkable. We even hear about his dedication to keeping the outside benches tidy. He's a true team player, always ready to take on extra hours when needed. Fun fact, he was just telling me earlier that he's been at Collins since 11, just covering for another custodian. He never says no. It's clear his positive attitude extends to every interaction, as he is known for his cheerful responses over the walkie-talkie. When the school is closed for the summer, we know that the campus is in good hands because of Carlos. In short, Carlos is an invaluable member of the Miller Middle School family. His positive attitude, his dedication, and his pride in his work make him an inspiration to us all. We are so truly lucky to have him at Miller. Congratulations, Carlos, on this well-deserved honor.
Carlos, would you like to say a few words?
It's a pleasure to me to work for Cupertino Union School District, but it's a bigger pleasure to me to work for middle school.
Thank you.
One moment, Carl, we have something. Yes, and then we're gonna take picture.
Yes, so
Yeah.
Carlos, this is a token of appreciation. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Should we, the board?
Yeah.
Be there for the photo?
I knew and Debbie.
Thank you.
Go ahead, guys. Turn.
Okay, now going back to 3.4, recognition of the California Classified School Employee Week. Mike?
Okay, thank you. Cupertino Union School District recognizes that the valuable services and commitment of its classified employees are significant factor in the educational experience achieved by the district. Classified employees working collaboratively with certificated staff play an integral part in the district's ability to provide a high-quality instructional program, meet the safety and welfare needs of the students, and promote a caring and nurturing school environment. The time, talent, and expertise of our classified staff enhance the quality of life for our students in the district, and the board wishes to underscore the value of classified staff in its fulfillment of the district's primary mission to develop creative, exemplary learners with skills and enthusiasm to contribute to a consistently changing global society. The district hereby joins the state of California and proclaims May 18th through the 24th, 2025 as Classified School Employee Week in CUSD to honor our classified staff whose commitment and dedication contribute so notably to the quality of public education in our community and quality of work in the environment of the district.
All right, well, thank you. So very well said. I know we wouldn't have anywhere near the kind of learning environment we have without the services of our classified staff. Very happy we have this opportunity to recognize our contributions. All right, then moving on to item 4.1, that would be superintendent report. So Superintendent Yao.
Thank you. So I did just want to highlight on Monday, we had our staff learning day, and we had the opportunity to bring in a keynote speaker, Dr. Bill Daggett, who for the Monday morning session, we brought in all of our teaching staff, and really he reiterated the why that we're shifting into the portrait of the learner, talking about future ready and the shifts that are happening in education and throughout the world, not only in education, highlighted some of the work with the AI. We also had the opportunity to hear from 4 students who gave an amazing story about the impact and the importance of the competencies that we're working on the portrait of a learner. And I think the power of hearing that through the perspective of a student as to the why we need to make this shift is so important. We were then able to have Dr. Daggett met with our accelerator teacher group later in the afternoon. And then we culminated the evening, as all of you as a board were here to attend, is we hosted a dinner with Dr. Daggett and invited some of our community members out, again, just to hear the shifts that are happening in education and the importance of our portrait of a learner, and just, again, underlining that importance of the why we need to begin and have our students future ready. So it was exciting. I think we all left exhausted, but energized, and just that message resonated with everyone. So that was a great way to kick off the week. The other is just, you know, as a district, we continue to navigate through financial challenges. There still is a lot of uncertainties out there with the federal funding. We are anxiously awaiting to see what the Governor Newsom's budget will come out next week. But a lot of the challenges have come because our COVID funds have now expired. That was one-time money. It was a significant amount of money, and we invested and strategized to make it go as far as we could for as long as we could. We did end up having to use a lot of the COVID funds to fund personnel positions. And again, those were priorities for us. We funded intervention teachers, mental health therapists, our English language support in our IAs. And so now we are faced with the difficult challenge, because those are priorities. And we do hear from staff that how important those positions are, but the funding is no longer available for them. And so it has made us do some shifts into our general fund, as we'll be sharing in our upcoming budget presentations. But I think it's just we want to recognize there's the increasing demands. We know that we're hearing from our teachers some of the challenges they have, and we really are going to have to balance those needs with the resources that we have, but also making sure that we're aligning to our district priorities and moving forward with that portrait of a learner. One of the other areas I wanted to share, I know that we've spoken about it at the last couple board meetings, was our early retirement incentive, which again, hearing back from staff, we were able to make some adjustments and offer it down to the age 60. And hearing such positive, we didn't have quite as many teachers and classified staff as we had thought would take advantage of the incentive. Typically, when you offer those kind of incentives, they figure about 30%. We only had about 10 to 12% of those eligible that took it. Part of me would like to think they love working in CUSD and didn't want to leave, but I know that there's many reasons why people may not be choosing to retire at this time. So I'm happy that we're able to offer it to that small group. And I know that excited for them as they turn that next chapter in their book, and we'll continue to look at ways that we can really look at where our priorities, our portrait of a learner, and we are going to have to make some cuts, reductions in areas that no longer align to that area. And we do have a proportionate high amount of our budget that is spent on personnel. And again, that was money that we had available during COVID. That money's no longer available. So we are going to have to continue to look at that and how do we balance that out as well. So tonight, we do have another budget information session. We'll continue doing that as we approach the adoption of our budget in June. So thank you for that.
All right, thank you. Okay, moving on to section 5, we have 2 information items tonight. The first one is about the fiscal impact of statutory benefits. So that would be Chris and Tina, I presume.
Just again, as a reminder, this is part of our complete budget. And so we've been trying to break down some of those areas that typically we would bring it just as we're bringing in for the budget adoption. But I think it's important to break them down into detail now, be able to ask those questions, identify if there's any additional information that you may need so that we're prepared when we do bring the June budget forward. So turn it over to Chris and Tina.
Thank you. Thank you, Stacey. So as Superintendent Yao referred to our budget situation right now. Tonight, we'll get a deeper dive into our budget. Statutory benefits represents the second largest part of our budget. We have salaries, and this is the companion piece, the benefits, which represent about 27% of our total budget is benefits. And benefits are more than just health benefits. There are also all the statutory benefits, and Tina will kind of go through all the various benefits and give you a chance to ask us some questions. So I'll turn it over to Tina. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. All right, so tonight we're going to start off with just a quick overview of our statutory benefits and just a reflection back to second interim. So the chart that you see on slide number 2 is from our second interim, and it's a representation of our total general fund expenditures, and these are in millions. And what this chart is demonstrating is that our operating expenses as of second interim were about $262.1 million. And out of that, employee benefits is about $70.1 million. This represents 27% of our total expenditures. And then just a reminder, if you add up all of our salaries and benefits, as Stacey mentioned, it's 85% of our operating budget. So we are heavily budgeting with personnel as our number one expense. So next, we're going to dive into the actual employee benefits and what goes into that $70.1 million annually. So these are the different types of statutory benefits that we currently have. The first one is CalSTRS, which is the California State Teachers Retirement System. The current employer rate is 19.1%. Then there's CalPERS, which is the California Public Employees Retirement System, and the current rate is 27.05%. We have OASDI, which is called Old Age Survivors and Disability Insurance. This is currently at 6.2%. We have Medicare at 1.45%, workers' compensation at 1.7626%, unemployment insurance at 0.05%, and then our health and welfare benefits, those are our medical, dental, vision, et cetera, which I'll dive more into. Those vary depending on the plan, so around $12,000 to $34,000 annually. So this is all of the benefits that currently we have that we pay into. So the first question that came up was, let's take a look at STRS and PERS retirement over time, because there have been a lot of changes to the statutory amount over the past couple of years. So this chart goes back to 2019, 2020. And you'll see over time how they've changed. STRS has gone from 17.1%, and right now in 25-26, it's currently set at 19.1%. If you look at PERS, it started off in 1920 as 19.721%, and now it's at 27.4%. So those are significant gains over the last couple of years in the retirement program. So let's take a look at all of those statutory benefits and what makes up that 70.1 million. So if you'll remember at the very beginning, I mentioned that all of our statutory benefits add up annually to $70.1 million. And this is the breakdown of how those are broken up. So we'll start over on the right. We have STRS coming in at about 41% of that 70 million, or about $29 million. We have PERS coming in at about $12 million, or 17% of that total 70 million. Those two combined alone make up 58% of our total benefits, 70.1 million. Then we have OASDI, the disability, 5.2 million. Health and welfare coming in at about 21 million, which is about 30%. State unemployment, $75,000, and then workers' comp, 2.7 million. So as you can see, STRS and PERS are our top two. Again, that's 58% of the 70 million. And then our number three is our health and welfare, which is currently right now about $21 million. So we're going to dive into health and welfare just a little bit more, as that's one of the ones that we receive lots of questions about. So currently right now, our health and welfare offerings, we offer medical programs with Kaiser, Sutter, and United Healthcare. We offer a variety of packages, HMO, HSA, HMO, and then we have a PPO that is currently only offered for those that were grandfathered in. We're not currently offering it to new. We also have options with dental. Delta is our provider, and we have a PPO and an HMO. We also have a vision service plan for vision care and group life insurance. So those are our current health and welfare offerings that we offer to our employees. Employees can elect to get coverage that's just for themselves as the employee only. They can also do what's called two-party, which is themselves as the employee plus one dependent, or what we call family, which is employee plus two or more dependents. You'll see on this slide, employee only is now covered 100% by the district. And then our two-party and our family, the employees covered 100% by the district, and then 75% of all of dependent premium costs are covered by the district. And we're going to get into what those numbers look like, but that's a pretty amazing benefit when you look at some of the different options that are out there. So let's look at health and welfare by the numbers. So currently in 24-25, we had 1,722 employees that were eligible for benefits. Out of that 1,722, 575 waived their medical coverage, meaning they did not want medical coverage. So that's about a third that said, no, thank you, I don't need it. Then enrolled in medical only. So they didn't take vision, they didn't take dental, they just took medical. We had 612, which is about another third that took medical only. And then we had 231 that enrolled in the medical two-party and 304 that enrolled in the family medical party, which make up that last third. So sometimes the question comes up, what makes an employee eligible for benefits? Working 6 to 8 hours a day makes them eligible for the district to pay 100%. And then less than 6 hours a day is currently prorated. And then retirees do pay 100% of their own benefits. Now let's move into the actual premium costs for health and welfare and all of our benefits. So slide number 9 goes through the total premium costs. So this is everything that the employer pays, everything that the employee pays. This is the total premium cost. So you'll see the first line is the employee only. So coverage on the employee only is $922 for medical, $76 for dental, $7 for vision, and $14 for group life. That's per month. And then if you annualize that to 12 months, it's about $12,000 a year for employee only coverage for all of those. The two-party, you'll see it goes up to about $24,000 annually, and then family goes up to $34,591 annually. So you can see the actual annualized cost of the benefits and what we're paying for the premiums. And now I'll break down how much the district pays versus how much employees pay. So on slide number 10, this is just the employer contribution. So this is the amount that CUSD pays. So out of the premiums that you saw on the previous slide, as I mentioned before, the district covers 100% of the employees. So line number 1, you'll see the district's contribution is the full $12,241. For the two-party, the cost overall was $24,000. The district's covering $21,000. So it's covering a significant amount. And then out of the family cost about $34,000. The district is covering $29,000 annually for the family coverage. So what remains is the employee contribution. So slide 11 just represents the employee contribution. There is no employee contribution for employee only because the district covers 100%. So the employee coverage for two-party is about $3,000 annually. And for family, it's about $5,000 annually. So you can see the cost to the employee for the different packages. Now we're going to get into like, what is it? How does this all add up and roll up into the total expenditures and how is it spread out in our budget? So again, this is looking at as of second interim. So you'll see health and welfare for our certificated staff on the first line, and then health and welfare for our classified staff on the second line. And then you'll see it broken up into Fund 1, which is part of our general fund, Fund 7, which is our special education fund, and then Fund 8, which is our restricted resources fund. So all these make up our general fund. So you can see how much is in each fund, and this totals up to the 20 million that you saw on that first slide. So health and welfare being 20.9 million, it's 30% of our total statutory benefits. That combined with STRS and PERS makes up 88% of our statutory benefits. So you can see between STRS and PERS and health and welfare, that's really where the majority of our statutory benefit cost resides. The remainder is very small. It's only about 14% in the other little things, workers' comp, unemployment, et cetera. So those are relatively small percentages. So health and welfare over time, sometimes the question comes up, well, how has health and welfare changed over the past 5 years? So this chart is a representation of certificated and classified since 2019, 2020. And you can see over time how the overall cost has increased. So in 2019, 2020, the district paid about $12 million. I wish it was 12,000, $12 million for health and welfare. And then if you move into 24, 25, as of second interim, we were at that 20 million, 0.9. So you can see the increases that we've made. So I just want to point out in 23, 24, there's a nice big jump that you see there, 45% over 22, 23. That was the year that the employee we began offering employees 100% coverage and began covering a greater portion of their dependents and their family coverage. And so what we have seen over the past 2 years is the first year it was offered, we had a group of people who jumped right on it and added it right away. And now we're seeing another flush of people that are coming through and either they didn't have it before and now they're adding it on. So we're seeing some shifts in, or they had just employee only and now they're moved over to have their entire family because they found it's beneficial for their family. So we're still seeing a continued growth in the amount of people participating, which increases our costs. So at this time, I'll pause and open it up for questions and see if there's any questions, but hopefully that gave you a greater view into the fiscal impact of our statutory benefits and recognizing this important part that it plays with our budget.
All right, thank you, Tina, for the update. Let's see, this is an information item, so let's bring it back to the board for questions. Let's say 3 questions first round. Who'd like to go first? Satish, you're nodding or?
Yeah.
Okay, Satish, why don't you go first?
Okay. I have a couple of questions. Thanks. This is pretty good. And we have about a third of the employees waived the medical fee. Is it the standard trend or is it like the current snapshot what we have?
That is a current snapshot right now of what employees have selected.
Yeah, so
A third of them have selected just medical.
last a few years, like how is it?
Oh, I did not go back and look at the makeup of the benefits over the past couple of years. So I don't know how many waived in previous years.
Okay, because I was just wondering, because now it's 100% coverage is there, about a third is not taken, so probably if more, it's a great
Yes.
opportunity, but if more employees are taking this, could go much higher also.
And we can share those numbers. I know our HR department has pulled just the trend in the number of employees that are taking the benefits in years past to current. So we could share that information with you as well, because it has increased.
It has increased, or
Mhm.
okay. And in the slide 2 or slide 3, we go, what is these are the percentage of this is of the 70K thing, or what is that?
No
Can
problem.
you
So
go-
let me go back to slide
Yeah.
3. Sorry. I had to put my glasses on because I'm getting.
Yeah.
Oh,
What is, okay, then please share.
Only one does.
sorry. Mahmood and I are both
Yeah.
messing around with it. Sorry.
Okay, so what is this percentage actually? Percentage of.
Oh, this is the employer rate that we pay on their taxable income. So however much their taxable income is, this is the percentage that we pay of these statutory benefits. Yeah.
Percentage of pay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is the last one? This is an amount.
So that's that health and welfare that we just talked about. So their medical, dental, life and all that stuff added together. That's how much it costs us annually. It was on the other slide.
So that the 12,000 would be an employee only, and then it goes all the way up to 34,000 if it's a family plan.
Yeah, the total premium cost ranges from the 12 to the 34 on slide.
Okay, and the last one is the retiree thing. You said I missed that thing. Retirees healthcare we provide, or what is that? You said, I think you mentioned about retired
Oh, for
employees.
retirees, we do offer that we carry the benefits, but they do pay 100% out of their pocket. So the district does not pay for the medical benefit premiums for those employees. They pay it. We offer it to them so they have access to it, probably at a cheaper rate than if they just went out into the marketplace.
Okay.
But they pay 100%.
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Please correct me at any point.
No, you're right. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Who'd like to go next? All right, thanks, Sylvia.
Can I circle back on Satisha's question with the slide 3 and the rates? So you said that that's a percentage of payroll?
No, that's the, sorry, maybe there's a better way to.
No, these statutory benefits are a percentage of payroll. So
So if you take someone's paycheck and they make $100, we add additional 19.1% for their STRS, or we have to add an additional 6.2%. It's like basically the taxes on their pay that we then have to pay.
So if it's $100, then it's $119?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So I had thought, so maybe help me understand, because I had thought that the rate was what our contribution on what the state is supposed to give them. Am I thinking of something totally different? I thought
Specifically around STRS and PERS.
PERS.
So that's a great question. I believe if I understand it correctly, and again, someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe there's a portion that the employer contributes.
Right.
And then there's a portion that the state contributes, but this is our employer contribution. So this is how much we contribute. But the state also.
yeah,
But it's not so like,
this
I
is,
thought that the 27 was what we contribute, and then the state contributes what's the
there's
100 minus 27?
the reference to the state contributing is beyond what we're showing here. This is our cost.
Okay.
So our cost is the 27.05 for PERS and 19.1 for STRS. The employee themselves have their own contribution costs. I believe STRS is like 8%. So they pay 8%, we pay 19.1%.
But that rate is determined by the state, right?
Correct.
So because the state says, because I remember having a conversation at some point years ago about how the state has increased that rate every year.
There's actually a cap on the STRS that it will not go any higher than, I believe, the 19.1 or similar, but there is no cap on the PERS. So the PERS is projected to continue to go up year after year.
So maybe provide some context. When I first started doing this work, the statutory benefits for STRS was 8.25 for the employer and 13.02% for PERS. So you can get a sense in terms of how far we've gone and how much it's gone up over the years.
And this is to continue to have STRS and PERS have the monies available for people when they retire. And so as more people are retiring, that's why they do the increase in the percentage so that employers are paying into ensuring STRS and PERS is available to employees when they retire.
I'm sorry, I'm still not fully comprehending it.
Mm-hmm.
So is the, so let's say if it's the payroll, if it's $100 and then it's $119, is this rate our CUSD rate, or is this 19% what the state says all school districts have?
It's a state mandate for all districts. So if an employee is earning $100,000, as a district, we would pay another 19,000 into the STRS. We would pay, if they were PERS, we would pay 27,000 into PERS.
I see. So it's, okay, so it's not our pay, it's not specific to our salaries and our, it's just whatever it is, we have to give.
It's a percentage of our salary. It's a percentage of what an employee is earning.
Okay, all right, okay, thank you.
Yep.
That was my question.
All right, thanks. Who'd like to go? Long or Ava?
He can go first. He's ready.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So I still, I also have some questions about STRS and the PERS. And say for employee, do they have to have both of them or just one of them?
No, that's a great question. So STRS is specific for the certificated employees and PERS is for classified employees. So based on your classification, that would be the retirement program that you would participate in.
Okay, I see. Okay. So, but PERS, they have a different rate.
Correct.
Okay,
The classified, yeah. And I think as Chris said, STRS has also the employee contribution rate. So I think if you add, it seems like if you add up the employee contribution and the employer contribution, it's almost about the same amount as PERS. Interestingly enough.
Interesting enough.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Okay.
I know.
So, do they say, you said there's does both all have a employee contribution part?
Yes, both have an employee contribution.
Okay. So do we contribute this much, no matter regardless how much the employee decided to contribute?
The employee contribution for both STRS and PERS is fixed. Our contribution, what you see on the board here, is fixed based off of the current rates.
Okay.
As still as a percentage of salary.
So this would be the same no matter what district you go into. This is a state set percentage.
Okay, I see. So it's a different, because I only familiar with say 401k. Say for 401k, we say employee, they have decide to contribute how much for each year, and then the employer then match a certain percentage of that, and so we work differently here,
Exactly,
right?
yes.
So it's a fixed amount.
Yes, correct.
We must okay.
It can change potentially annually, but it's a fixed amount.
Because remember, as public school employees, we pay into STRS or PERS. We don't collect Social Security.
Yeah, right. Okay. Okay, good. And say for other stuff, all come from like a Medicare and worker compensation. What is a workers' compensation?
Workers' compensation is insurance to provide in the event an employee gets hurt on the job. Provide short-term or long-term disability until the person comes back to work. So it's a payroll tax to help offset the costs related to work-related injuries.
Okay, I see. So for all of them, do they have a cap? Like say Social Security, that's each year, that's only say they only tax you up to a certain amount, and after that they do not.
So to answer your question, so it's specifically with workers' comp, the workers' comp rate here is not a universal number that every employer pays the same rate. This rate applies to us. Every district, every employer has their own workers' comp rate, and that is determined based upon we use the word utilization. So based upon how much utilization or usage of the insurance then drives the rates, then drives the percentage rate. So you can look at our rate of 1.76% of payroll. I would say that we're probably on the higher end, but not super high, because there are some employers that are paying, workers' comp rates in the 2% range.
Okay. Okay, I see. So my question was about for say thirds and fourths, do we have a upper limit? Do we have a cap?
This is our current cap. The state sets those rates.
Say for student, for the employee, say earn say 100K. And for employee works, earn say 300K. Do they all have the same rate?
It's the same percentage regardless of your income or the number of hours that you work. It's still the same percentage.
I think the only one that has a cap is Social
that's a
Security.
cap.
I think is the only one that has a cap. I don't
Yeah.
think any of the other ones have a
Okay,
cap,
I see.
only Social Security.
Okay, and 401K also have a cap. Okay.
Right, but
Yeah,
but then ours
this
for
one
the
we
first
do
is a
not
little
have
bit
that.
different, right?
Okay.
Exactly, yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay, thank you. Yeah. I see.
Thanks, Mo. Ava, please.
Thank you. Thank you for presenting. Going into more of the details. Can we go to slide 13, please? Okay. This is over time. I do recognize the huge increase since we are providing the 100%. And I'm not sure we looked into this, and I'm thinking maybe we did talk about this. Do we have an opportunity to join other entities so that we can negotiate for a better rate since we have X amount of employees to join others, right? I think we did that, right?
Yeah, we did join a JPA
Okay.
for not for Kaiser, but for the other two plans,
Dental.
Sutter and
Sutter and United Healthcare.
Oh,
We have a
Sutter.
Health and Welfare Committee that's composed of union representatives and district representatives that meet. Actually, I think they have a meeting coming up soon. That look at the different offers to the.
Okay. That's good. I thought we did that and just somewhere to save money.
Actually, it's only for United Healthcare.
It's-
Sutter and Kaiser are both outside. We directly deal with them.
Okay.
Just United Healthcare.
Well, thank you for looking into that to make sure that we can try to get the best rates possible.
We shop them every year. And since we're a member of a JPA, we already can know how much the JPA is. And if the JPA is worthwhile to join, then we can try to join that for the other ones. But so far it's been less expensive for us to stay out and deal directly with Kaiser and Sutter.
How many total employees are in part of the JPA for United Healthcare? Or it varies?
It's a small amount.
It's a small amount.
Yeah, I don't know, 58, 54, 70, something like that. It's a small amount. Most of our people are in Kaiser.
Okay.
And the reason why it's a small amount is because we have some people who were grandfathered in with the PPO, and we don't have the PPO through Blue Cross Blue Shield anymore. So we wanted to honor the fact. So we went into United Healthcare because they offered an affordable PPO. More affordable, I should say.
Yeah, Blue Shield went up by a lot. I remember that. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, all right, thanks. Just one question, maybe on slide 13, that plus 31%. I know you talked about some of that where people, maybe more folks signing up. Just trying to get a sense of how much of that is vendor increases versus more usage by us. Do you have a breakdown?
That's a great question. I don't have the breakdown in front of me, but I do know that is a combination of both of those factors. We saw a 20% increase in our rates from 23-24, and we saw about a 5%, 24, 25.
Okay.
But coming out of the pandemic, we saw dramatic increases in the cost of the premiums. And so that was a significant part of it. And then a double whammy when we, decided to offer the 100% coverage. So then we saw that increase from that as well. So it is a combination of both, and we can
Okay.
get that information for you.
Sure. And I'm just, because I guess, 50 out of that 70 million is statutory. There's nothing we can do about it. So I'm interested in the other 20 million and sort of what sort of levers we have. Do we have a sense from either the JPA or I don't know if we talk to consultants, or do I have a sense of what that increase might be for the next coming year, generally what the increases may be?
Yeah, so give or take, but Kaiser is not supposed to raise it all.
Okay.
And then depending on which plan you have in the other two that we offer, they kind of go kind of separately. But I would say since the PPO was with United Healthcare, that's going to be around a 15%. And I think the other one is around 9%.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I would add one of the new, maybe a challenge, but just a shift in how we budget is because now our health plans run from January to December. And if we look in our prior years, prior to 2022, they were aligned with our regular budget cycle. And so that has been a shift because right now, as we're budgeting, we know what our healthcare rates are from July to December upcoming, but we don't know what they're going to be in January. So it's half the year we know and half the year we don't. And so a lot of it is trying to work with our healthcare, like what is the projected increase? So we know we can budget precisely for, or fairly precisely for July through December, but it's that January through June that is the unknown.
I see.
Because we are hearing even 9 to 13% in one of our healthcares may increase.
Okay. All right. Great. Thank you. It's the only question I had. Great presentation as usual. Any other questions from the board? Oh, Satish, please.
This OAFDI, right? And this is a group percentage, 6.2%, 6.2%. So what is that? I understand that old age benefits and things like that. So who really going to get that? Like, after retirement, you can't get, you're not going to get any other.
So certificated employees do not pay into state disability. It's only the.
It's classified.
Yeah.
It's Social Security.
Oh, okay.
OSCI is Social
I said
Security.
disability. I'm so sorry.
There's Social Security.
Social Security.
And this also varies every year.
No, the percentage is still fixed at 6.2%.
Okay. No, like a person's test, this is that won't vary year after year, kind of. Current rate, or it's been always 6.2?
The rate hasn't changed in a long time. It's been still set at 6.2%.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Any other? Go ahead, Long.
Yeah, I have a question on page 8. And it shows that's more than 33% of
Can you turn on your microphone? Oh, thanks.
Sorry. Okay. So on page 8, and it shows more than 33% of the workers, they do not have they waive the medical. So do you understand why that since we have a 100% of coverage?
So I'll actually use myself as an example because I currently waive right now. My husband actually works for UPS and they provide 100% coverage for my entire family. So they actually pay 100% for my entire family.
Right.
So I don't need that extra coverage because I already have coverage. So it could be something like that where they're already covered on a family member's plan and they don't need the additional coverage. That could be a reason why. You were going to add something else?
I was just going to say that, and because we have so many spouses or significant others that have good insurance plans, that also helps raise our percentage that our rate, because we have that many people waiving out. And it's not beneficial for all companies. That's why we were being dropped by Blue Cross Blue Shield, because we had too many people waiving out and it wasn't worth their time to carry such a small group. And so that was one of the reasons why we got into a JPA, because you get strength in numbers. But that's one of the reasons. We have more people now, and Stacey was right. I don't have the data, but since we've offered that, some people will, now that they get full paid for themselves, they'll let their spouse take the kids and they'll go themselves. And so it's increased a lot.
The other thing to consider is the 575 that waive is we also have to continue to monitor, because if they elect to take our 100% employee, you would multiply that 575 by
12,000.
the 12,000, and that would be the cost that the district would have to bear. So we are thankful for people who do waive and have their health coverage and take it with another entity.
Okay, do we say provide any encouragement, say if the employee already covered by some other, then we would encourage them to waive the medical, and so can reduce our cost.
We do not ask that question of them.
Okay, I see. So we do not say provide. If you do not, if you waive, and then we will give you some HSA account. No, we do not do that. Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions? No. Aaron, do we have any public comments on this item?
No, we do not.
Okay, great. In that case, thank you. Thanks, Tina. All right, the next item then is the bond project list for Measure Z. So
Excited to bring this forward. I know that we've over the course of the month, again, I think just throwing out that huge thank you for our community for supporting the passing of our bond back in November. Now we actually get to start seeing it coming to fruition. I know that Chris has met with our facility planning committee. We finally were able to get that committee together, and it feels like we're moving forward and going to begin to start doing the work.
Yeah, and I'll take it from that point. So tonight we're going to go over a little bit of information. As Superintendent Yao mentioned, we are in the process now of building out, establishing our project list. Tonight, we'll talk a little bit about our preliminary project list, but tonight I think we'll talk a little bit more about the process for how we're going to build out the project list. So may I introduce Jeff Scoggin? He is with the Ann Kennedy Group. We've worked with Ann Kennedy Group going back to Measure H as far as helping us put together our planning budgets and help us report out to the CBOC. So they are very integral in managing our bond program. So Jeff will kind of walk us through how we go about building this bond program.
hey, welcome, Jeff.
Thank you. Good evening. So as Chris mentioned, the company I work for, AKG, we had the pleasure of helping start Measure H, had the benefits of helping close out Measure H. So I'm excited to get this program started here with Measure Z. I mentioned my kids, they were 3 years old when I started Measure H. And so now they're getting ready to go in high school, and give you an idea of how quickly time flies. So moving forward, we have a presentation today where our goal is, is this picking me up? Good. The goal is to talk about what a master bond project list is. So for those of you that were part of the Board of Education on the prior bond, we initially set up a master bond project list. And then each time there was a change to that master bond project list, it was brought forward to you as a board to review and approve all of those changes. And we'll talk about what that process looks like here today. So what is a master bond project list? It's a key tracking document that brings all of Measure Z together and provides a roadmap and communicates to all stakeholders of what your intent is to do to implement that program. So what is in the project list? So the project list should total up to the full authorization plus any interest related to Measure Z. It should clearly define each project with project number, project name, scope, and ultimately budget. The board approves the initial project list, which we'll be bringing forward at a later date, and then any revisions thereafter. So the master bond project list. So we start off with the educational master plan, which then informs your facilities master plan. And ultimately we look at your ballot language, what the voters approved, and we compare that to your facilities master plan. And we start putting together a complete list that totals up to the authorization. And you'll note that last bullet point on the current slide here. It's often a public records request of, hey, how has your master bond project list evolved over time? I thought that project at Blue Hills was X amount, and now I see it's this amount. How did that change over time? So keeping clear records of how you allocate budget to various different sites and projects is key towards being able to communicate to your stakeholders. So up here, we kind of have a graph talking about integrated planning. So we have the educational master plan, facilities master plan, and you'll see how it kind of follows through to the project completion. So right now we're at the master bond project list development stage, putting together a program schedule and ultimately cash flow, which will ultimately influence the financing plan of how much you're going to sell and when you're going to sell for each series or tranche related to Measure Z. So the initial bond project list. So we talked about it, facilities plan to communicate the intent of the projects, and ultimately this board is the approving body. So in the project list, which we'll look at in a bit, there's 3 layers of contingency. The first layer of contingency is not going to show up on the project list per se, but within each project's budget, Todd and the rest of the team will have put in a project's contingency. Project contingency will be built into the project budget. The amount of that contingency within each project will be relevant to the amount of risk related to said project. So if you're doing a renovation project and you're opening up the walls, you're going down to the studs, there's a lot of unknowns in there as to what you're actually going to get into. New construction, relatively little risk compared to a renovation when you're digging up. So that's up to the project team to decide, hey, we want to carry 10% contingency or 5%. That's kind of their goal to set those boundaries. But there are 2 projects that we're proposing to add on to your project list related to contingency. There's 2 buckets. The first is the district-wide contingency bucket. We've set that at 7% of the total Measure Z allocation. That is for you as a board to distribute towards projects. Maybe there's necessary scope creep, right? Scope creep isn't what we want to hear, right? But the reality is, as we start meeting with user groups and identifying needs, those needs may outgrow the budget, and you as a board can help dictate, hey, you know, we want to prioritize that project, and we want to use some of our district-wide contingency. Catastrophic contingency, we intentionally are using the word catastrophic. It is your last piece of budget that you should use. It's the end of the bond program. That is your budget for vastly unforeseen conditions. To give you an idea of where catastrophic contingency comes in, I think it was 2007, 2008, right around the corner from here at De Anza College. They were renovating the Baldwin Library building collapsed in the middle of construction. Massive change, going to have to go through insurance. So the different district leveraged their catastrophic contingency while they were waiting to go through the insurance process, because the project could not just stop. They needed to keep moving along. Any questions on the catastrophic contingency or the contingency? We can take questions later on project list, but a lot of times there's some questions related to that.
I think we can go on here.
Okay.
Thanks, Jeff.
The next up is another project. It is your program overhead project. So looking at this project, what we did to establish an initial project or initial amount for this project's budget is we looked at the total expenditures on your Measure Z program and looked at it as a percentage of what that was of Measure Z. And then we applied that exact same percentage for Measure H, and applied that exact same percentage towards Measure Z. So when we look at the project list and you're like, hey, how do we come up with that amount? We looked at the percentage for H and applied it to Z. So what's in your program overhead? Every time you sell bonds, there's cost of issuance. It's expense related towards selling the bonds. District staff that is eligible to work on the program, and the board elects to expense their salaries and benefits. We just had that presentation. Individuals that work for the district that are working on the implementation of the program, there's an attorney's general opinion that says you can expense those costs against the bond program. So those costs would hit this. Any district-wide studies, consultants that are program-wide would hit this program overhead bucket. You're going through a process right now looking for program and construction management firms. The program portion of their contracts would go to this budget. The construction management would be project specific. So to give you an idea of what kind of cost would hit the program overhead. So now we're at the master bond project list, which is an attachment in the packet here. So you'll notice some consistent themes in looking at this project list. Todd and Chris have provided some good starting points for what will be ultimately in this project list. So we originally added in as many of what we're calling quick start projects. So projects that don't require review by the Division of State Architect. For those of you involved in school construction, DSA or Division of State Architect, you're looking at 6 to 9 months minimum to get things through them. So the quick start projects are either A, they're already designed, or they don't require much permitting and review to get the projects rolling. So we'll look at those projects specifically here in a bit. So we talked about where we're at in the process. We're developing the master bond project list. Once the program construction management teams come on board, we'll put together a program schedule and ultimately a cash flow to help inform timing of when we need cash to implement Measure Z. So once we have this cash flow, it'll inform the sizing and the time, and there's rules associated when you sell the bond. So a lot of times when we're kicking off these bond programs, we usually get the question, hey, the public authorized $347 million. Let's just sell it all now and let's sit on the cash. Well, there's rules associated with bond sales. And so we put some very small, one of the tests associated with the bond sale, which is called a 3-year test. So within 6 months of selling a bond or a bond series, you have to encumber or spend 6 or 5% of the total amount of the sale. So if you sell $100 million, you either have to encumber or spend 5% within the first 6 months. If you sell $100 million, you have to spend 85% of that, or $85 million within 3 years. So when the board looks at the size of your first sale, keep that in mind in terms of what realistically can this district implement and spend within the 3-year minimum time frame. Okay. So now we've talked about the bond project list. Let's talk about the project list revision. So we have a cyclical graph here. And so once we establish the bond project list, as time evolves, project prioritization will change, planning will change, and needs of this district will definitely change. We saw that during COVID, the amount of needed to shift very, very quickly to remote learning and what a costs associated that we're eligible for spending. And we look at the beginning of Measure H towards the end of Measure H, the district does need drastically change drastically as well. Okay. And so anytime there's a change to a project's name, scope, or budget, it would be brought to this board for your review and approval. The project list is going to be informed by data. So the project team, if they come forward and say, hey, we need an extra $300,000 on a project, we're going to ask the why, right? Is there an engineer's estimate? Is there scope creep? What is the reason for the additional need? We're also going to vet it for compliance and allowability. We have $347 million. We can't just go out and do beautification projects. The bond is here to do capital improvements, ultimately for the education of our students. And then ultimately, each time a change is brought forward to the board, it'll be run through district leadership. District leadership will review and approve and ultimately present it to you as a board for approval. Okay. Up here, you'll see on the screen here, rather small, is an example of the last bond list revision that we did for Measure H. So this was the final revision number 24. And if you recall how that bond program ended, Blue Hills was the last modernization project. Thankfully, we had additional funds to help guide us towards the end of the program. And so this last revision was sweeping savings or excess funds across many different projects and closing out the Blue Hills project. All right. So next steps, Chris, do you want to take the next steps?
Yeah. So Jeff mentioned, shared with you, we're in the process now so actually we have selected our program management firms and construction management firms. We're in the process of negotiating with them. I'm envisioning bringing contracts to the board by our first meeting in June. We are going through also the process of selecting a pool of architects as well. We have interviews actually this Friday and the following Friday. So those are some of the things that are going on right now. The idea would be is to bring today the initial project list, and please understand that this is it's a preliminary draft of the project list. Jeff mentioned that we've identified some quick start projects, but when we go through the list, you'll see that we still have a fair amount of the remaining balance of Measure Z to assign to projects. And the task of bringing with the team, with the construction management team and the program management team is to help us build out that project list, putting together budgets, looking at the sequencing, because those are some of the things that we will be having to look at in terms of how to best utilize the funds in the amount of time that we choose to spend our monies. So,
and Mama, is there a way to get the project list?
And I think while Mahmood's bringing that up too, I did want to acknowledge, I know that in prior conversations with the board, there had been an ask about the project labor agreement. And so we will bring information about that at the next board meeting. We hadn't included this as we were trying to focus on the project list, but I did want to acknowledge that we're still aware and we'll bring that back.
Okay, so I'll quickly go through the 5 pages of projects. And so on page 1, we have, you'll see many TK Kinder playground retrofit projects. Those are the budgets that the project team is anticipating needing to fully implement the project. I will say that there are 5 at each of the 5 middle schools. There is a starting budget of $200,000 for track costs for planning design related to a potential track project at each middle school. So that is on the first page of the project list. And if we scroll down a little bit to Eisenhower, you have the security fencing. So the kinder playground replacement, security fencing. Todd, what do we go? We have some other perimeter fencing. Those are these quick start projects that we're looking at getting off the ground and getting rolling and getting completed this summer. So if we go to page 2, we'll see at Hyde Middle School, you'll see at 3 middle schools, we added a gymnasium project, and you'll see that there's $200,000 allocated towards each of those projects as well. In the scope description, we've notated that these are for planning and design costs, planning and programming costs associated with getting that project off the ground. Once the team has a better understanding of the total cost of that project, the budget will be brought back to you as a board for your review and approval. Okay. There's a roofing project down at Lincoln Elementary. That's another quick start project that the team feels that they can get moving very quickly. Moving on to the next page. I'm not sure if I can control this mode or not. You got it. Thanks. Appreciate it. We have a re-roofing project at Miller Middle School to the tune of $1.175 million. We have a gymnasium and track project at each of those as well with a $200,000 project. Again, $200,000 budgets each. Those are for planning costs, just getting the project off the ground and running. At Montclair, there's a roofing project and some security fencing. There's some more kinder retrofit projects, some more fencing projects. Moving on to the next page for Stockholmeyer. So we have some retrofit and fencing projects as well. Same with West Valley. We have a re-roofing project there to the tune of $1 million. And then finally, we get to the district-wide general. So on Measure H, you may recall that there was a central kitchen project that was part of Measure H that ultimately did not get implemented. On this project list, you'll note we have $200,000 set aside for planning and programming costs associated with building out a central kitchen and operations building. Okay. Technology. So technology similar to the program management or program overhead costs, and it was up a little bit. Please. You don't want to shortchange your budget there. So technology, what we did for that budget as well is, again, we looked at the percentage of spend for all FF&E technology purchases that were done on Measure H and just applied that exact same percentage here for Measure Z. Needs have changed drastically since 2012 and costs associated with technology have changed. So that number may go up depending on what the needs are once the full project list is built out. The same with the project right underneath that, the technology data infrastructure, that's for running new cabling associated with technology. Those 2 projects, their budgets follow the same percentage as Measure H. Right below that is the program management planning and support. That's the program overhead bucket that we talked about earlier. So that's any salaries that are working in bonds, consultants, district-wide assessments, what have you. Then we have the two contingency projects that we talked about earlier. So the $24.2 million is 7% of the initial bond budget, and then $10.4 million is 3% for the catastrophic contingency for the bond. And then we have a very, very large bucket there called future projects. So we always want our project list to add up to $347 million. So that budget right there, it's to be determined which projects we will be implementing on this program. And that'll be heavily informed by the program and construction management teams that Chris alluded to earlier that'll be coming on board here shortly. We have FF&E. Again, that's a percentage of spend based off of the prior bond. And then we have some other projects that are relatively quick start projects. You have safety and security. So we added budget specifically towards that. So if we identify specific safety and security projects that we can get off the ground running, So we currently have $4.5 million set aside for that. And then there's two other projects listed below there. The first, and this is the security badge project, safety management preparedness platform. These are the badges that teachers can wear and press a button. That's for the implementation of that project. Flying. And then finally, we have network upgrades. So that's some immediate work that needs to be done throughout the program. Finally, you'll see the total allocation there of $347 million. Happen to answer any questions from the board.
All right, thank you, Jeff. Let's just go in the same order as before. 3 questions per round. Satish, please go ahead.
Thank you, Jack. So couple of questions.
Satish, your mic, it's off.
Okay, thank you. So one is this program overhead, right? Is there any guideline for that? Because other things you said about the contingency, you have a 3%, 5% and all those things. Right? Here it is a big bucket because I see some amount you have put here. Is it a percentage or is there some limitations or any guidelines on that?
It depends program by program. So we work at a lot of K-12s, community colleges throughout the Bay Area, and that's a very consistent question we get on the implementation. Your district, to give you an idea of how you manage your prior bond, when the district kicked off, you had a few staff that was being billed against the bond. You had Kitchell and you had Swinnerton working on the bond as program construction managers. Then towards the latter part of the program, those entities went away. And then you had Todd and Chris and a few other support staff implementing the program. So that was your percentage on the program is relatively low compared to some of your neighbors who outsource a significant portion of their bond towards program management type costs. You're never going to get away from your cost of issuance. You sell $100 million, you're going to spend $300,000-$400,000 on underwriters and cost of issuance fees. Is there industry standard guideline? It's really hard to dial that number in because it depends on the delivery method and everybody's inconsistent and how they track it. So I know I'm not directly answering it, but it's very hard to nail that down depending on the implementation of each program.
Okay, thank you. And the second one is the scope change, right? Like, and you said that it'll be brought back every time when there is a master bond project which changes, right? So that means scope, budget, and things. So what is that? What is the tolerance there? Like, what kind of things qualify for a change? Like is it a recategorization or the amount changes or we drop something and or the project management can change themselves within certain boundary?
Sure. So to give you a good example, can you scroll up to the top of page 4, please? So you'll see the West Valley Elementary School re-roofing project. In the scope description, it very clearly calls out buildings A, B, C, D, and K. Those are the buildings that are going to be re-roofed. Let's say the team gets into the project and we don't have enough budget to cover buildings D and K. So if those buildings were to get dropped from the scope, then that would be a scope change. Or they could come back and say, hey, we need additional budget to do that. It could go 2 different ways on that. So anytime there's a significant change. So if you see, if Todd and Chris were to come back in 2 months from now and say, hey, the Stockholm Elementary School Kinder Playground retrofit project is going to go from $71,000 to $1.7 million. I might ask the question, what scope changed to add that extra $1 million plus, right? So usually they go hand in hand. Budget and scope are tied as to what's going on.
So how frequently or how what is that like every 3 months you come back and we review this, or how does it work? Like, as and when there is a change in the scope, you get it to us, or you have a consolidated change list or whatever, a change request you would be providing us.
Well, to give you an idea, over all of Measure H, we brought 24 total. If we looked at the cadence of that, there was significantly more changes towards the beginning part of the program, right? We're trying to figure out what projects need to be added, what's happening as inflation happens, tariffs, how that's all going to impact the implementation of the program. 2 or 3 a year probably is good enough for a K-12 bond program.
All right,
I'll come back.
All right, thanks, Sylvia.
I had a question about so this master project list adds up to roughly 347, which is the total amount, right? But then for the gyms, The 200,000 is only for the planning and programming cost?
Correct. So
So-
right now, if we were to just go off of the facilities master plan general estimates, which were year $2,000, $2020, excuse me. Significant changes happened since there and needs at each site may have changed. So rather than say, put $24 million on initial project list, what the team wanted to do was set aside money just for the planning and programming, getting an architect on board, talking to the users groups, understanding what the needs are specifically at that site, then come back to the board with a better estimate of what it's going to take. So for example, I worked with the district where they may have allocated $30 million towards that project, right? And the community hears, oh, we have $30 million at this particular site. And then you do a needs assessment. It turns out you only need 20. Now that site is like, well, that's our $10 million that you're taking away. So you're trying to understand what the true need is before you allocate it towards the site.
But it feels like all the money is allocated already.
There's that $260 million for future projects.
On the bottom of page
It would
4.
come out of that.
It'll say future projects at 260 million.
Ah,
Yeah.
got it.
That's the number that seems large, but will go quick as needs come up.
Got it. Okay. That was my main question. Thank you.
No problem.
Thanks, Lo.
Okay, yeah, I have several questions. And say, are those all the things we are planning to do? Is that possible? Say we in the future we come out with something new in the future items, in the future projects.
So let's say we fast forward 6 months from now and the total authorization, including the future projects, has been allocated towards a project. And then a year after that, the board identifies a significant need at a campus. You as a board have the ability to either defer, cancel any project. It's at the board's discretion, or you can choose to pull from your contingency to create a new project and establish that and move forward. So it's up to you as a board and how you allocate that 347. Just because it's on the list today does not mean it has to be fully implemented. And so example of that was there was a central kitchen, there's property acquisition. There was numerous projects on Measure H that for a variety of reasons did not come to fruition.
Okay, I see. Say I see. Say there's some re-roofing projects, and also in our item 9.5, I guess that's a contract list. And so we also have some pre-roofing survey. So I guess those are related, right? The pre-roofing survey, like
This is on the consent agenda. These are contracts. These are contracts for roofing assessments and for the 4 roofing projects.
Okay, so they're related. And those consent projects are coming from the general budget or come from the Measure Z?
These are coming from Measure Z.
Okay, I see. Okay, and say for our roofing, say how long is basically the life, and is that 20-year or 50-year old? Depending on
You guys want
to Todd on
Todd.
that.
Probably 15 to 20 years, something like to last forever, but yeah, 15 to 20 years.
Oh, 15 to 20 years. So that means, say, we need to replace almost all the roof, say for Measure Z, because the previous Measure H was 13 years. How many years ago?
2012.
Yeah, 2012. So that's 13 years ago, right? So, okay. And yeah, coming to the page 2, there's a running tracks. So what's the idea on the running track? Are we going to yeah, I noticed that some of the middle schools, the running track are on sand, and yes, and so are we going to do a full covered running track, or just replacing with some new sand? Do you have any idea?
Well, I think I've shared with the board that I think the concept here would be is to upgrade those running tracks.
Mhm.
I think what we may be envisioning is an all-weather track,
Right.
very similar to what other middle schools and even the high schools have.
Mhm.
I think we've had some folks come to the board and advocate for replacing the old sand tracks with an all-weather track. So that's kind of what I'm envisioning.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Ava.
Hi, thank you for being here and explaining each of the pages. I'm not sure if you'll be, I noticed that, did we fix the roof for Cupertino Middle from the last storm? Do we still have more stuff to be fixed? Because I was there when I saw pieces of the roof flying off when we had storms.
That was all addressed.
That was
last
all
time.
addressed, okay. Um. Not to get in nitty gritty, just in general, when I like how you explained the $200,000, I see that for all the gyms and the central kitchen. In general, Chris, are we thinking of having a gym that's a full size, court size gym? Cause I know that Kennedy right now it's like a half court or so, it's tiny.
That's a great question, and I've seen in other districts where those facilities were on the smaller end.
Yes.
I think it's just a matter of budget and a matter of where we have space on the campus, right? So,
Okay.
you know, Kennedy obviously is a little tight there, so that's where the program team and the architect, they'll advise us as far as what will work with the area that we're talking about, so.
Okay. And thank you. I think Satish answered one of my questions in terms of the percentage of the guidelines override and talking about the overhead costs. My question is on page 4. My last one is on technology. Does this also include like backup batteries just in case there's an outage? And is this also inclusive? And I'm hoping I'm not going too much into weeds of having our own servers, or I mean.
We'll let Matt Moon take this.
So, so battery backups would be kind of like a blurred line, maybe under security, safety and the safety and security / potentially under technology because it kind of protects in different areas.
Yes.
So I think as we get into those projects, as you know, I think we're going to start to determine the needs and where they can fit in, and then probably parse it. And we worked in that in the past because even some of these projects, they would also be under E-rate funding where we can get reimbursed too. So we work to make sure we do the best we can in the different areas. And you know, as was shared, it's kind of like the starting point on the breakdown. But I'd imagine as we get those projects coming in to get approved.
Okay.
They would,
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Thing as for me, you know, I've seen this during the facilities committee. So my questions are really around process. So let's say we approve this in, I think Chris said, the first meeting in June. Do we have a sense of how long it would take to complete the items on here on this first phase? Roughly, is it 18 months, 24 months?
The current list of things right now, the quick starts.
Yeah, let's say just what's on that PDF there.
The roofing projects will all get done over the summer, hopefully by the time we come back in the fall.
Okay.
The TK playground equipment will be done as well over the summer. The fencing projects will start this summer and finish toward the end of fall.
Okay.
And then the planning for the gyms and the central kitchen, that process won't start until we bring the architects on board and look at that. So that will be the next iteration of the bond project list once we have more information about the costs and to design and build a facility like that.
Okay, so it sounds like most of the re-roofing and the playground, that's pretty much within the next, let's say, 12 months.
Correct.
And then sometime the next 12 months, we're going to start the process at looking at the gyms and whatever else is in phase 2.
Correct.
So that's sort of the current
Correct.
thinking right now.
Correct.
All right.
And can I also add to your point, when you start looking at the projects that we are planning to do,
Mhm.
it kind of goes back to what Jeff was talking about in terms of the cash flow.
Mhm.
I had shared with the board initially that we were looking at possibly selling maybe as much as $120 million of bond. That was roughly about a third. But when you look at the amount of projects we're capable of doing, we're not going to come nearly near that 85% spend down. So I would like to share with the board that staff has looked at this based off of this project list. We would like to amend what our initial plan was to go out and issue not 120 million at this time, but just go out and issue 75 million. So with the idea too is that once we have more of the projects planned and designed, we would come back and look at the second issuance of the bond, and it could very well be the difference of the 120, or it could be more. It just, again, depends on how much work we have designed and planned and how quickly we can get those projects underway.
Okay, yeah, great. Yeah, thanks. All right, thanks for that clarification. My other question is really about what is allowed to be spent with the bond money. So for instance, the program management part of this, if it was district staff that was spending time on it, then we can charge their time to this then? Or is the money only for external contractors and consultants?
Sure. So there was an attorney's general opinion. I can get a copy of that to Chris to share to the board.
We can.
You can, yes. So the attorney general opinion basically said any staff that's working on the bond, person in purchasing, a person on the fiscal side, facilities director, all of those positions that are helping implement the program, a percentage of their time based on how much they're spending on the program can be expensed, both salaries and benefits, against the bond program.
Okay, great. And then I noticed under the technology section, there was mention of software. Now, I would think a lot of that is sold on a subscription basis. And so is it just whatever PO we sign? I mean, can we sign a PO? Not that we would do this, but can we sign a PO for like 30 years and have it pay for the bond, or how generally does that work?
So an example of what we would do where software would be, it would be something like for our wireless system that has licensing associated to it. And it gives us access into that system to manage those licenses and those access points. So we've done those kind of orders before, but we don't typically do simple software purchases.
Okay.
So there's allowability associated with the bond, right? We're here to do capital improvements.
Right.
But the law is changing every year when it comes to this, because we're seeing more and more technology move to the cloud.
Right.
Right. So before, and I believe you were involved with this, Mahmood, when we were buying Meraki access points and the district wanted to procure extended warranties and extended subscription associated with that. And there was another fund that was helping contribute. The bond can't buy extended warranties. So what we did is we had bond buy more access points, and that other fund that was less restrictive paid for the extended warranties. So we can get creative if needed in that case.
All right, thank you. All right, those are my questions. Any other? Oh, Satish, please.
Since I think the interesting topic is technology again, right? So I know that we have a bigger bucket, about what, 16 million or so approximately between 3 items here, right? The data center, data related. Then there's a technology by itself, a big bucket, and then I think one more, right? Network upgrade. So this is over a period of what, like a 10-year something we are planning to do it, and we will have some sub projects on each of that. How is it going to be?
Yeah, I mean, it would be the life of the bond, and we got to stretch it based on our needs with technology through the whole life of the bond.
No, so is it what I'm trying to say is it like we just put a bucket there just to as a placeholder, or you think that that could be the real need over a period of time?
No, there's a real need. So our last bond paid for our last upgrade in our whole infrastructure for a lot of the network equipment and the Wi-Fi and everything. And as you guys know, now we're over 10 years on most of that stuff. So we've been piecemealing, making some orders as much as we can using E-rate. But eventually our phone system, our network, all these things start to come back up because, you know, we're at that 12-year mark. We gotta start bringing those up again.
Yeah, it will be great. Some point of time we can have an update on that, irrespective of the bond, right? Like, because this is a big area where definitely we have to get into that direction. But at the same
Like a
time,
project plan?
how we are going to, or what are the things going to be changing, and that will be really helpful.
Yeah, and we
that
have,
include probably even the software side of it, that not just the hardware.
and we have brought those before, right? And so those big pictures that we brought when we broke them down for different projects that we were looking to do, that we weren't able to get to yet, and include security cameras, included some of the cybersecurity software licensing and protections. There was a lot of those items that, yes, we could start to bring those back. And for a conversation, that's where they would fit into some of these areas that we were hoping to get done now.
Okay, and appreciate that if a timeline also if you give it, yeah, by let's say 2030, we will be doing this kind of things, because some technology would be changing by then on.
Yeah,
thank you. That's it.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions?
A few more questions actually, as I was listening to everybody else's questions. With regard to process, so with the, like, so for example, with the gym and bringing in an architect, will there be additional consultation with like staff on site to customize each gym at each? I would imagine, so I'm thinking about like FUHSD, when they did their remodeling, they each quad and each kind of like thing was different based on how the school used their space, right? So are we looking more like kind of every gym looks the same, or are we gonna talk with staff and see how they're using it? Like some schools have a big orchestra, some schools have, you know, swing dance, like that kind of stuff.
Thank you. That's great question. I guess we could look at it kind of different ways. From the standpoint of managing the project, managing the facilities, we would probably want them all to be very similar for its operation purposes, but depending upon the site, there might be some uniqueness that we do need to get some feedback from the staff. So to answer your other question, yeah, as far as all these projects go, excuse me, we will circle back with the staff and share with them and get some feedback on that. But ultimately, the overall design and the specifications of the building will be based upon what our recommendations as far as how we want the architect to build out. So there is some abilities to incorporate some of that site input to a degree, obviously, depending upon, you know, the cost to design something.
Okay.
I did want to add a appreciation of calling out and calling them gyms. In prior conversations, I think it was a little confusing. We were referring them to event centers, and I think that misled some people. It really is about the work on the gyms.
Yeah, I think it would be great to make sure that we're getting that feedback and input from like the PE teachers and like the choir and orchestra teachers, the ones that will be using those spaces. I had another question about the so that 3-year project flow.
The 3-year spend rules?
3-year spend, yeah, 3-year test cash flow, slide 13. So spend cash out the door, 85% of principal plus interest, meaning, is that because we pay first and it doesn't, because I imagine it will take longer than 3 years for some of these things.
It will. So what the IRS doesn't want a district to do is go out and, even if you have the assessed valuation, the IRS does not want you to go out and sell $300 million and just sit on and collect interest. You'll start, if you start going past the 3-year rule, and there's another 5-year rule associated with that, you might have to pay back arbitrage penalties associated with that. So when you sell a tranche or a bond series, you really want to make sure you have a plan to get 85% out the door. And so when we looked at the original amount that the district was looking at, and then we looked at the projects that were shovel ready or will be here shortly, it didn't really make sense to go out with the full 120.
Yeah.
So the 3 years is about the paying of the invoice, not the completion of the construction.
That's correct. That's cash out the door.
Okay. All right. And then in terms of the number of, I imagine we're using multiple construction companies and architects to do simultaneous things, or
it's to be determined. It's still to be determined.
Is that something that is coming back to us in June, or is that like later?
Well, Jeff referred to it as whatchamacallit, delivery methods. So I think Todd shared with you some various different building delivery methods. Traditional design, bid, build, that's the low bidder approach. We've used lease back. So again, it just depends on how we set up the project and how we want to go about constructing the project. So the time frame varies from project to project. So the project team that's behind that will also change depending upon the delivery method.
Thank you.
Thanks. Long or Ava, anything else? No? Okay, Ava.
Yeah, I do have additional questions. Thank you. It's a process question, and I think it's just in general, like, it's good to hear, and you asked one of the questions about having staff input. And I have a little bit of that process. And I do understand that with DSA, it takes a while to get even the architects to start working on that. But in the meantime, when they're talking about the plans and the nuances of that, does it come back to the board before it goes off and starts being built?
So for like the running tracks and the gyms, if
Yeah.
we were to look at just those in that regard, I think what the team is looking for is, okay, we're looking for an authorization to move forward
Right.
with 200,000 to procure an architect and to get that planning programming phase started.
Right.
What wouldn't happen is the district, Todd and Chris, bring forward a construction bid for $20 million without the board having prior approved a budget that would support that $20 million construction. So ideally, once you get closer towards what the project cost would be, that's when you bring back a bond list revision back to the board that says, hey, we're going down a path that's going to design a gym that's going to cost us $20 million. And you as a board can sit there and say, time out, we don't want to spend $20 million. We want to spend 15 million. So then that goes back to Chris and Todd, and they work with the architect to reduce the scope of the project to be back into alignment with the board's direction on budget.
And that's for big projects, but what if there are things like the Collins TK Kenner playground retrofit? Because that one has a smaller amount and it doesn't require a DSA or architect. If we want to relook at that and see what does that entail, and
the specifics of that
yeah.
project, I would lean on Todd to speak to that, but within that project's budget, there should be a contingency percentage in that project budget alone, just to capture any cost overruns associated with that. So if he thought it was going to cost $100,000 to procure the kindergarten equipment, it costs 110. Hopefully there's percentage of budget in there to capture that within the own project's contingency. But in terms of the specifics of the project, I'll let Todd speak to that.
The other thing to keep in mind as Todd's approaching is that we do have a facility planning committee, which we do have 2 board members on. And so that will be meeting more frequently than probably things are brought back to the board. And so some of those conversations can also take place at the committee as well. And then board members would bring that back as an update at a board meeting.
So at those committees, I understand did we finish gathering the community members for that?
We just formulated it. We
Okay.
they held the first meeting last week. So we may expand that committee as we move forward. We just really wanted to get it up and off the ground.
And those are open to the public?
They are superintendent meetings, so they are not.
Oh, they are not. Okay. Sorry, Todd, you go ahead.
So process wise, as far as the TK K playgrounds, it was to get them into compliance for under 5-year-olds, because of all of our playgrounds across our campuses are 5 to 12. So process wise is looking at retrofit or if they're age wise, as far as being old, there was a recommendation by our consultants at Ross Recreation to either retrofit or to replace. And then part of the process was then working with the sites in regards to approving retrofits and new playgrounds, so going through that step, and then working with our consultant at Ross Recreation to then create a plan and then to a proposal and then to share and get approval from the sites.
Okay, I appreciate you explaining and working with the staff, because some of my concerns of when I visit the sites is there enough space for X amount of number of classes and number of kindergartners running around the same time, just space wise.
Yeah, and that's
And the
another
right equipment.
byproduct of the visits that I did was not only just looking at the playground equipment, but also the play yard itself. You know, if they're growing by another section or two of TK or K, looking at ways that we could potentially grow or enlarge the actual play area as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, just maybe adding on to what Ava was talking about. So just to recap, touch points for the board. So the next meeting, we'll talk about project labor agreement. The meeting after that, then we'll talk about and approve presumably the project list. So I guess I will remind my board members, if anything you want to see different here, we should talk about that so staff can prepare. And then after that, after we approve the project list and you're off and running in the delivery, getting the delivery together. I presume the next time anything comes back to the board would be to approve the contracts. Is that right? Or is there anything in between? Does that sound about right? Well, after you guys are going, then the usual, these contracts come to the board for approval. So I guess, okay.
Jerry, one question.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah, there's since you have this. See, some of these things you said that already started kind of. I think that's what Long was asking about the roofing related some stuff. And all those things needs an approval, or it's already, since it's been already started, or we are going to be starting, how is it working? Because another thing is this 200,000 for the initial planning for the gym thing. So does it come as an action item for us, or how does it get implemented?
So let me unwind some of that. So the roofing projects you are approving now tonight and you've approved at prior meetings. So all those contracts have been brought to the board for approval.
Okay.
The design, the $200,000 towards designing and programming the gyms and all that, that will come to the board when we have a contract. Well, once we have the architect on board, we will bring a contract for their design services and bring that to the board for approval. That will be the kickoff of that project being approved by the board.
Okay, so today, this is only for the information. There's nothing in this list is approved, or we have not made any decisions yet.
Well, let me, this caveat is that for us to be able to get going on the summer projects, we are asking the board to approve those contracts as part of the normal board agenda prior to having the final project list created. So that is the one caveat.
And that would be on June 4th, right? That's what you're talking about.
The project list, yeah.
Project list approval on June 4th. Okay, right. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I'm just piggybacking Satish's question regarding the roofing services. You said the pre-roofing, the survey that's in the it's in the consent calendar, 9.5.
Yeah, sure.
So the funding source of special services, is that where Measure Z is being housed in the finances?
Let me look real quick.
It's page 1 of the 9.5 attachment.
9.5.
Yeah, so funding, it's a funding source, 08 special services.
That is. Oh, I see.
Those are actually for,
No,
those are different.
Those are different, okay. So in the future, when we do have Measure Z things, will it say a specific source? We know it's Measure Z. Will it say Measure
on
Z?
future contracts related to Measure Z,
Mhm.
you will see the reference to Fund 24, and it'll say bond or Measure Z, but it'll be Fund 24. That's the fund number for Measure Z.
Specifically, just for that.
Specifically only for the bond, yes.
Okay. That's good to know. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Any other questions from the board? Do we have any public comments on this item, Aaron?
No, we do not.
Okay, in that case then, Jeff, Todd, thank you for the update and, all right.
Thank you both.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, next, okay, moving into 6.1 employee organizations. Do we have any speakers tonight?
We do. We have CEA President Kate Lee.
Okay, all right. Welcome, Kate.
Thank you. Good evening, board members, Superintendent Yao, our executive cabinet, and all our CUSD teachers and community. What a fabulous evening celebrating our Teachers of the Year. It was wonderful to have so many fellow staff members, students, and parents here tonight to celebrate. Weren't our Teachers of the Year a fantastic group of dedicated educators? They represent so many of our educator job positions. Of course, many of we're classroom teachers, from all different grade levels, but we also honored our special education professionals like speech and language pathologists and special day classroom teachers. There were also middle school educators like counselors and leadership and electives teachers. We had teachers who have only been teaching for 3 years to those who have been teaching 10, 20, and even over 30 years. What do they all have in common? Their passion and dedication to their students and their students' success academically, but also, and in many ways, even more importantly, instilling them with self-confidence and being a trusted adult in their lives. From the new teachers of 3 years to those with 30 or more, all of these teachers have dedicated their lives. They engage students, their students in different and differentiated ways, and new and differentiated ways every day, and never give up on them. They celebrate their growth, and they are there as a supportive listener during their difficulties. I'm so honored to represent these Teachers of the Year and all of our CUSD teachers as their union president. And I'm humbled by their dedication to keep learning new educational strategies and child development. To be their best they can be for their students and for their fellow teachers. By being lifelong learners, they also give to their students the joy of learning, and they become lifelong learners as well. So congratulations to all of them. I'd like to share a couple of updates with you tonight. The CEA and CUSD negotiation teams came back to the bargaining table on Wednesday of this week. Both CEA and CUSD agreed to pause our negotiations on salary until September next school year. This will allow both teams to negotiate salary using the unaudited actuals for this year and the budget for next year, and to be able to negotiate responsibly and be well informed. This is also always how CEA prefers to bargain. CEA would never intentionally negotiate anything that would be detrimental to our district. By working together, using up-to-date financial information, we can all make sure we are doing our best for our teachers as well as for our district. We look forward to completing the remaining article we have later this month, and then coming back together in September to reach agreement on salary. I also want to thank Allison Lanier and Stacy Yao for listening to CEA's concerns about iReady assessments during our Joint Leadership Council meeting a month or so ago. In case you don't know about our GLC, it is a quarterly meeting. Each year, we meet quarterly each year with members of our CEA Executive Board and the CUSD Executive Cabinet. Its purpose is to provide an ongoing, proactive, collaborative space for both CEA and CUSD, where we can address and discuss concerns, problem solve, and share important information and updates. After our discussion that day, Allison and her staff began the work of analyzing current use of iReady and what changes would be beneficial to students and teachers. That was a concern that CEA brought up. In the meantime, our kindergarten teachers asked CEA if they could address the school board about their concerns for kindergarten students and their fellow kinder colleagues. We thought it would be helpful for our school board to understand what a day or a year in a kindergarten classroom is like for our teachers and students. As you heard that night, iReady testing for kinders was one of our main concerns. Soon after that board meeting, Alice and her staff completed their analysis and announced changes to using iReady for grades K through 8. One of the changes is that kindergartners will no longer be required to take iReady to do the iReady testing. There were many other positive adjustments made for other grades as well. The CA really appreciates the executive cabinet for listening and addressing our concerns during JLC. And our kindergarten teachers thank the board and Ed Services for listening to them and taking action to ensure a more positive learning environment for our kindergarten teachers and students. Regarding tonight's presentations, I'm wondering, in the bond presentation we just listened to, I am wondering why some schools are not on the master bond list. Dilworth, McAuliffe, and Muir are not included. I'm sure there's reasons why, or maybe they were overlooked, but I'd like to hear more about why there are no plans for them at this time. And we would like to also see a breakdown of the $13.8 million for the bond management. That seems very high amount, and we'd like to understand more about it and why that amount is necessary to manage it. Board Member Chow, in response to your question about trying to join a JPA for our health and welfare plans, I'd like to provide some more background for you. We have looked at many JPAs in California. Unfortunately, most of them, as Mike explained earlier, do not allow districts that have high levels of waivers to join their JPA. This severely limits the choices we have in terms of joining a JPA. We also have a very large group, especially compared to some JPAs. Especially under our Kaiser program, our plan. So even though we had an opportunity this year to join a JPA for Kaiser, being so large, we would have changed their pool significantly, and that would have negatively impacted the rates that they currently have. When our Health and Welfare Committee analyzed the historic rates of the JPA and our historic rates for Kaiser under our district, we actually had lower rates and rate increases over the last 10 years. So we felt it didn't make sense for us to join that JPA. Keeping our health and welfare costs down while still providing good health coverage is really a no great answers or options most of the time. The hard work of our district health and welfare team, which includes representatives from all three unions, CUSD management and staff, is too often behind the scenes in terms of acknowledging the hard work that they do. So I'd like to take this opportunity to publicly thank each and every member of that team and all the time and effort they have put into making sure CUSD can provide the best coverage plans with the most fiscally responsible cost possible. I know the hours of work and difficult decisions with no great options that they all do for us. So a big thank you to all of those members of that team for all the work that you do. Thank you and good evening.
All right, thank you. Okay, our next item, public comments. So this is a portion of the meeting for the public to make comments on items that are not on the agenda tonight. And so we generally will allocate 20 minutes to accept comments and then take any other additional comments at the end of the open session. Do we have any speakers tonight, Erin?
We do. We have three.
Okay, now let's invite them up.
The first speaker is Jasmine Sue. Jasmine, you should be able to unmute and begin speaking.
Can you hear me? Hi, can you hear me?
Hold on just a second, please.
Hi, I'm going to keep talking just in case you're adjusting anything.
Excuse me, Jasmine, we're a little garbled here. We'll see if we can, is there something we can do or
Zoom meeting.
Okay.
have to reconnect? Okay.
Is it me?
Minutes.
2 minutes.
Okay.
We'll have to log off, log back in.
Okay. Let's go ahead. Do we have anybody here in person perhaps? Okay, let's hear from first. And then-
Sure. I believe Mark Lowndy.
And in the meantime, you'll be rebooting or reconnecting?
I
Or?
have to do it once we pause, if we can just.
Because
pause
it's
for-
recording his.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, oops, let's go ahead and listen to the folks that are here and then we can do that quick. All right.
It's good to be in a building that has electricity in it, by the way.
right,
This is
welcome.
about AI. I last addressed this body on this topic in January of 2023, 2 months after the release of ChatGPT. A quick background on me. I'm Mark Lowndy. I'm the SITS at DeVargas, which had no electricity today. I founded and run our campus makerspace, and I manage our weekly Roar Days STEAM activities. Over the past 5 years, I've worked at summer fellowships inside of 3 major tech firms and one of the world's largest defense contractors. Before my education career, I worked for 3 startups. I've been in the C-suite offices when plans are being made, and this experience gives me a pretty good feel for the corporate mindset. I've also been involved with a statewide working group dedicated to teaching educators AI literacy for about 4 years, which is about 2 years before ChatGPT. As educators, we have the responsibility to present a realistic view of the world as best as we're able. Presenting AI as just another tech revolution for which workers merely need to learn new skills is, well, short-sighted at best. Typically, educators discussing AI talk about classroom tools and how to deal with AI-based cheating. Many AI education consultants talk about making students future-proof. When it comes to AI, that's just not possible. Do workers need to be AI proficient? Well, of course they do. But possessing that proficiency is not a ticket to a career in the way it's been with previous tech advances. Many retrained workers will have no landing place. The World Economic Forum's 2025 Future of Jobs report says that 40% of businesses anticipate reducing their workforce where AI can automate tasks. The vast majority of the new AI-related jobs referred to by the WEF report will actually displace multiple other positions in their classification. The net result will be fewer available jobs. Many of those who are trained in AI will still be left behind. A survey by the Society of Authors in January of last year indicated that 26% of illustrators and 36% of translators had already lost work due to generative AI. 37% of illustrators and 43% of translators said that income from their work had decreased because of generative AI. Remember, this was a year ago. With far more sophisticated tools, those numbers are surely higher today. Schools need to re-examine their basic mission because increasingly that will not be to create workers. But we do still desperately need broadly educated critical thinkers who can be the well-informed adults we need to help formulate the public policies necessary to meet not only those future changes, but to face the challenges of today. I repeat my invitation from 2 years ago. I'm available to discuss this with any of you at your convenience. You know where I work. Thank you for listening. Go Dodgers.
All right, thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
All right, so shall we reboot the connection? Oops. All right, we're gonna reconvene back from break, and so let's invite our speakers.
Okay, Jasmine Sue, if you could please raise your hand again.
Hey, welcome, Jasmine, and thank you for your patience with us here.
Hi, board members. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go
Great.
ahead.
Thank you. My name is Jasmine Sue, and I am a CUSD alumni. I went to Nimitz for ESL, and now I'm a parent to a TK student here. And I'm here to advocate for my daughter to have a fair and equitable opportunity to enter CLIP, the Cupertino Language Immersion Program, as a kindergartner next year. Here are the facts. So kindergarten spots at CLIP are decreasing by 33% next year, from 96 spots this year to 64 spots next year. Why is this happening? As I understand it, as an outcome from teacher negotiations, it was agreed to reduce class sizes from 24 to 22 students per class in the K through 3rd grades. This is a decrease of 8% per class. However, the district seems to be implementing the reduction solely to the incoming kindergarten class by keeping the existing classes at 24 for 1st through 3rd grades next year and reducing the kindergarten class to 16 in order to bring the total average from K through third grade to 22. Further, of the 64 kindergarten spots I heard through the rumor mill that over 50 are going to sibling priority, which of course, siblings are coming from enrolled in existing larger class sizes. So what is the impact? This is a significant limitation to access to the CLIP program. As previously mentioned, this is a reduction of 33% for kindergarten spots, and what I think of as a near 0% chance for new families to enter the program. The approach of keeping 24 spots from first to third grade and 16 spots in kindergarten creates an unequal educational experience for the students within this band. I think the grades 1 through 3 will not experience any benefit from the class size reduction, while access to the new kindergarten families are being penalized in order to meet an average number on paper. It will have a long-term, lasting impact on limiting language acquisition at the most critical young age. My assumption is that this is not the intent of the negotiations, and frankly, the odds are really being stacked against us. Admittedly, I don't know the constraints or alternatives, but I would like to urge the board to help us and mitigate this reduction. Perhaps an idea is to add an additional kindergarten class at CLIP, which I understand that Principal Lasher may had stated that she was going to ask the board to do so as well. Or implement a rolling reduction and spread the impact over time. Thank you for listening and understanding the importance of the issue, and please help prioritize this kindergarten class size.
Thank you, Jasmine.
The next speaker is Manali Pais. Manali, if you're joining virtually, please raise your hand. I do not see Manali.
Okay, just a reminder, you could always email the board at board@cusdka.org, and we read all the emails that are sent to us. Thank you. All right, moving on then to item 8.8. This is an adoption of a resolution on non-reemployment of certain classified employees. Given it's an action item, could I get a motion on the table first, please?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Satish, and could I get a second?
A second.
Thanks, Long. Do we have any sort of intro or material from staff on this item? No. Okay, all right. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, do we have any public comments on this?
No, we do not.
All right, then a roll call vote, please.
Trustee Zhao.
Aye.
Trustee Chow.
Aye.
Trustee Leong.
Aye.
Trustee Manhattan.
Aye.
Trustee Lu.
Aye. Okay, great. Okay, moving on to the consent. We have 10 items on the consent calendar tonight. Could I get a motion, please?
I'll move.
Thanks, Sylvia. And a second, please.
I'll second.
Thanks, Ava. A roll call vote, please.
Trustee Zhao.
Aye.
Trustee Chow.
Aye.
Trustee Leong.
Aye.
Trustee Manhattan.
Aye.
Trustee Lu.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. And then item 10.1, board activity and committee reports. Just whatever order, we'd like to go first.
We had a facility committee. Is it called facility committee or? Okay. Facility planning committee, and I think more or less the same information has been already presented today. Nothing specific on that, but it was initially, pretty much understanding the process and question answers and things like that. And I think it's in the very early stage, but it's a good starting, and good that we are already on action on that.
Do you want to maybe talk about the meeting with the union presidents that I missed?
Okay. Yeah, this is we've had a good meeting actually, because Jerry was not there.
Sorry.
No, just pulling in. So so we had we used to have, I think, quarterly meeting earlier, the board president and the vice president. So now the frequency we changed recently, and we have all three union presidents come for that. So this time we did not have a CUAU president present, as well as Jerry joined later because he had a conflict actually. So he called in, I was there. So basically probably this is the second meeting which we had recently. So we are going through some of these items. I'm not going to go through each of that because this is very much the updates from them. And typically, since it's we cannot make any decisions or since we hear that and some of the process goes like this, we share with the superintendent and get it clarified and convey and understand if any challenges or anything on that. And I think overall it went pretty well. And probably this will be the last before the, I think, end of the year. One more we have. Yeah, Kate, it is one more we have. We are looking forward for that. And it's quite productive meeting actually. So thanks, Jerry. I know you are in the last side portion of it, but I don't think you missed too much. I made a minutes and sent it to you already.
Right. Thank you for that. Okay, anyone else like to go? Law?
Okay, yeah, sure. Last Friday we had a staff picnic, and went there and had some fun. Talked with some staff and got a goodie bag. Got a shirt. Okay. This Monday we have a future ready learning. And so it was a great talk and great to say it really attracted a lot of community members. And so, everyone I can see it loved the speech and also loved our portrait of learner. And it's the speech connected our portrait of learner in a great way. So it's very impressive.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
So I think Jerry, Ava, and I went to the Eaton STEAM Fair a couple weeks ago, and it was fantastic just seeing like all the students who were doing these projects. We were guest scientists, and we were mentoring the students before they did their actual presentations to their classmates and to their parents. And one of the students I was mentoring was a TK student who told me all about the water cycle, and it was amazing. So it was just so great to see how eager they are to learn, and big shout out to the PTO, to the parents there who were organizing it. DeVargas, I attended the DeVargas Korean Culture Night, which was fantastic. I know this year DeVargas has had to cancel a couple of those just because of different things. It was really great to be able to go to this one and just see how the community came out. And again, PTA, or I think it's their homeschool club, or the parent organization just did a wonderful job with that. And then I think most of us were at the Cherry Blossom Festival. And we got to send off our students that are going to Japan this summer. And two of our teachers, I think one of our teachers from Kennedy and another teacher from
Collins.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, not Collins. Sorry.
I can't.
Sorry. Yeah.
I can't remember, but two of our teachers who are going to chaperone, and then a number of our middle school students. So I'm really excited for them to have that educational opportunity this summer. I'm really glad that we continue to do that with the Sister City program.
Yep. So I was able to visit a few schools. I visited Collins, and I was invited to be a guest reader for the YCC program at Sedgwick, and then visited Blue Hills as well.
Great. All right, I think the only one that hasn't been mentioned here, there was the Hoffman Awards last night. Sylvia Satish and I attended that. That's an annual event that the County School Boards Association runs to honor special programs in the county. So that was good to see some of the good work that's being done. I'll just also mention at the Hoffmans, we heard from, at least in conversation, I think one of the school board members who was here on Monday with our event with Dr. Daggett asked their superintendent to call you to see if they can book Dr. Daggett also for them. And then also at our table, there was another district where after we talked about it, they'd asked their superintendent to call you too, so we'll be getting some calls. We should collect
a finder's fee.
It should be something like that. So, but it was a great event. So thank you for, okay. All right then. Then let's see what's next here. agenda setting. Is anyone, anything like to ask to be put on a future agenda? Okay, if not, well, I'm always here, you know where to find me. Then the next item, then public comment, any public comments on the closed session?
No, we do not.
All right, then in that case, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn us to closed session at 8:21. Thanks, everyone.